What if the carton of eggs you bought this morning wasn't breakfast, but a biological weapon waiting in your fridge? In just 3 months of 2025, more than 20 million eggs were yanked off shelves in one of the most shocking recalls in recent memory. 79 people are sick, 21 were hospitalized, and the cartons came from chains millions of Americans rely on. The labels promised organic and cage-free, but federal investigations revealed something far darker. Salmonella traced straight from production floors into your breakfast pan. How many seniors on fixed incomes thought they were buying health but ended up buying illness? How many families stretched their last dollars on safe food only to discover betrayal hidden under the shell? And if this could happen with eggs, the most basic of staples, what else is lurking in plain sight across America's grocery aisles? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today we will expose 7 grocery stores selling you the worst eggs that all recalled for shocking reasons. Stay with us, and before you feel panic or anger, we'll also show you which trusted alternatives are safe to buy at the end of every section. Number 1. Safeway. More than 20 million eggs pulled from shelves, 79 confirmed sick, 21 hospitalized. That was the brutal headline on June 4th, 2025, when the August Egg Company announced one of the largest recalls in recent memory. And standing right in the middle of it all was Safeway, a familiar grocery stop for seniors and working families. August Egg Company has been a loyal supplier of Safeway for many years, so the eggs were supposed to be organic, cage-free, and safe. Instead, they turned breakfast into a health gamble, with Salmonella enteritis lurking in every carton. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warned that those most at risk were seniors and children, precisely the groups who rely on affordable eggs the most. Salmonella isn't just a bad stomach bug. In fragile bodies, it can lead to blood infections, aneurysms, even heart inflammation. Imagine a simple Sunday omelet turning into a week in the hospital. For shoppers who stretch every dollar, that's not just betrayal. It's financial sabotage dressed up in a cardboard carton. Federal investigators traced the contamination back to the August egg plant, where whole genome sequencing matched the bacteria in patients to the bacteria on processing surfaces. It was the equivalent of fingerprints on the murder weapon, except this crime scene was your refrigerator. Safeway carried the dangerous cartons under multiple labels: Clover, First Street, New Laid, O Organics, Market Side, Simple Truth, Sun Harvest, and Sunnyside. The scope was wide and the trust was shattered. The future feels like a ticking clock. August Egg has promised stricter sanitation and pasteurization, but experts admit these fixes are like locking the barn after the horse has bolted. Without Safeway forcing supplier audits, independent testing, and transparent results, the next outbreak might not be Salmonella, but something worse, like Listeria, a pathogen known to kill seniors in nursing homes. And when lawsuits pile up, will Safeway hold the line or collapse under the weight of its own negligence? Shoppers are left to wonder whether their grocer is protecting them or rolling dice with their health. The irony is cruel. Americans are told to eat healthy and buy organic, yet the very cartons with those words turned out to be Trojan horses. So what's the next move for families who can't afford another medical bill? That's where safer alternatives step in. Brands like Eggland's Best, Vital Farms, and Organic Valley have built reputations on stricter testing and more transparent sourcing, while regional co-ops and local farmers markets let you look the farmer in the eye and ask, what exactly are your hens eating? For those who want the security of scale, Eggland's Best offers fortified eggs with omega-3s and vitamins B, 12, and D. Vital Farms delivers pasture-raised cartons traceable to specific farms. Organic Valley puts cooperative accountability first, reminding buyers that food can come from systems built on trust, not just profit. So now the question cuts deep. If Safeway, a chain trusted by millions, already let tainted eggs slip through once, what stops it from happening again? And will customers accept another apology when the cost is their health? The next time you crack an egg, ask yourself, are you cooking breakfast or are you spinning a roulette wheel with your gut? Number 2. Walmart. For many Americans, Walmart is the place where low prices promise stability. Milk, bread, eggs, the basics of life tucked neatly into the weekly budget. Yet in June 2025, that promise cracked wide open when the August Egg Company announced the recall of over 20 million eggs contaminated with Salmonella enteritis. Walmart shelves across 10 states, including California, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Wyoming, New Mexico, Nebraska, Indiana, and Illinois, were stocked with these so-called cage-free certified organic cartons. Instead of breakfast, families brought home a bacterial landmine. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention quickly tied the contaminated eggs to at least 79 confirmed cases of salmonellosis and 21 hospitalizations. For older shoppers already battling health problems, the symptoms were not just fever or stomach cramps. They risked dehydration, blood infections, and organ damage. Think about the irony: saving pennies on eggs, but paying thousands in medical bills. It's like clipping coupons while your health slips through the cracks. This wasn't only a recall, it was a spotlight on Walmart's blind spot. Investigators traced the outbreak directly to August Eggs, a facility in Hillmar, California. The FDA confirmed salmonella on both eggs and production surfaces. Yet despite Walmart's vast network, no internal checks caught the contamination before customers carried it home. A chain that serves millions, especially seniors and rural families, essentially played middleman to a pathogen. Imagine walking into a store for safety and bargains, only to walk out with danger tucked under your arm. What makes it sting sharper is the silence. August Egg halted fresh sales and turned to pasteurization. But where was Walmart's voice? Were there loud in-store announcements, digital alerts, or community outreach? Or was it left up to scattered news reports? Waiting for customers to discover the risk on their own feels like letting smoke pour into a room before pulling the fire alarm. If Walmart fails to toughen its screening, the path ahead is grim. Salmonella might just be the beginning. Listeria, or E. coli, could be next. Each recall chips away at trust, and one more outbreak could unleash class action lawsuits from seniors or consumer advocacy groups. The very rollback branding that once meant cheaper groceries could be mocked as roll the dice with your health. That's the reputational hemorrhage already whispered in consumer forums. And with Consumer Reports and Food Network underscoring how widespread this recall was, it's clear that Walmart can't shrug this off as an isolated hiccup. Still, families cannot stop eating eggs. The question becomes, where do you turn when trust cracks? Fortunately, reliable alternatives exist. Clearwater Farms offers cage-free, pasteurized eggs with third-party testing as standard, a sign of transparency too often missing at mega chains. Pete and Jerry's organic eggs participate in traceability programs, letting you track cartons back to the farm. Nourishing traditions. Cope brings together regional farmers with strict salmonella controls, turning safety into community strength. And local names like Cindy's Organic Farm Stand remind us that sometimes the best safeguard is knowing the farmer who raised the hens. So here's the uncomfortable question. When the world's biggest retailer can't keep a basic staple like eggs safe, who truly guards the grocery aisle? Next time you reach for a carton, ask yourself, are you buying peace of mind, or are you buying the illusion of savings while gambling with your health? Number 3. Nijiya. In August 2025, the calm, carefully curated aisles of Nijiya Markets, usually a sanctuary of soba noodles, fresh sashimi, and organic Japanese imports, were shaken by a scandal that cracked their reputation like a dropped egg on tile. Country Eggs, LLC issued a recall of its large brown, cage-free Sunshine Yolks and Omega-3 Golden Yolks eggs, which had been sold under the Nijiya label in California and Nevada. These cartons, marked with code CA7695 and sell-by dates between July 1st and September 16th, were linked to salmonella contamination. By the time the news broke, 92 reported illnesses had surfaced, including 18 hospitalizations. No lives were lost, but for seniors and immune-compromised shoppers, the margin between illness and tragedy felt frighteningly thin. This wasn't just a recall, it was a gut punch to trust. Nijiya has long been treated like a health temple for those who care deeply about what they put in their carts. Customers pick sushi-grade tuna, organic tofu, artisanal rice, and expect the eggs to be a safe, humble staple quietly doing their job in the fridge. Instead, these cartons turned into Trojan horses. People didn't check the codes because, well, it was Nijiya. That blind faith is exactly why this betrayal stings so deeply. The scope of the problem widened fast. The CDC later confirmed that up to 95 people across 14 states were sickened, with 73 of those cases clustered in California alone. Whole genome sequencing traced the bacteria back to Country Egg's facility, leaving little room for excuses. Imagine the sushi counter, once a symbol of careful balance and harmony, now overshadowed by whispers of salmonella surprise. It was as if bad karma had slipped into the bento box. The irony is chilling. A store that markets itself as a haven of wellness became the source of hospital visits and panicked phone calls. Families who once relied on Nijiya to provide pure options for grandparents or children were suddenly forced to second-guess every purchase. What's next if reforms don't take hold? A listeria outbreak tied to tofu? An E. coli scandal from miso? Without radical changes, such as rigorous supplier audits, transparent public recall notices, and digital traceability codes on every carton, this brand risks bleeding away the very aura of trust it has cultivated for decades. And let's not sugarcoat it. The emotional damage is real. For working-class families and retirees, Nijiya isn't a boutique. It's a trusted stop for something better than the big box grind. To feel betrayed at the egg aisle feels like being tricked by a friend. One customer was quoted asking, "If I can't trust Nijiya with eggs, how do I trust them with sashimi?" That single question slices deeper than any report. So where can shoppers turn? Thankfully, safer alternatives exist. Vital Farms offers pasture-raised eggs, with each carton traceable to a specific farm. Pete & Jerry's provides certified organic options backed by traceability programs designed to keep pathogens out. Eggland's Best delivers pasteurized eggs fortified with vitamins, offering an added layer of confidence, and local farm co-ops. Though sometimes pricier, give customers the chance to ask a farmer directly, "When was your last salmonella test?" and get a straight answer instead of a corporate silence. The bigger picture here is that customers should not have to be detectives with magnifying glasses in grocery aisles. The burden should fall on retailers like Nijiya to ensure products are safe before they ever reach shelves. If the chain cannot rebuild its testing protocols and supply chain integrity, then shoppers may find Zen elsewhere. In brands and farms that prioritize human health over marketing slogans. Final thought. You walked into Nijiya for a sense of calm, maybe a little sushi tranquility, but left with fear in the form of a contaminated egg carton. Has wellness now become just another word for empty promises? When the grocer you trust with sacred staples falters, who will you lean on for something as basic as eggs? Share your thoughts, your safe sources, because no one deserves a breakfast that betrays them. Number 4. SaveMart. Picture this. You stroll into SaveMart, reaching for a carton of brown, cage-free organic eggs, thinking you're making a smart, healthy choice. But instead of peace of mind, you've just picked up a silent enemy. In June 2025, August Egg Company recalled over 20 million eggs. Yes, 1.7 million dozen, after Salmonella enteritis was discovered spreading through their production lines. Among the retailers caught in the fallout was SaveMart, with contaminated cartons stacked on shelves across California and Nevada, all stamped with plant codes P6562 or CA5330, and sell-by dates from March 4th through June 19th. The human toll was immediate. At least 79 people were reported sick, 21 ended up in hospitals, and experts admit those numbers are probably just the tip of the iceberg. Seniors, young kids, and working-class families, the very heart of SaveMart's customer base, were hit hardest. For many, it wasn't just a case of food poisoning, it was a betrayal of trust. Because when you're living on fixed income, stretching every coupon, and relying on a familiar store for safe staples, the last thing you expect is salmonella served cold from your fridge. The FDA's investigation revealed that environmental samples inside August Egg's Hillmar, California, facility tested positive for the same strain of salmonella found in patients. This wasn't a rogue hen. It was contamination baked into the system. Imagine trusting the organic label the way a baby clings to a pacifier, only to find out it was filled with germs. That illusion of safety popped like a too tight flip-flop snapping mid-stride. For SaveMart, the damage runs deeper than bad headlines. This chain positions itself as a neighborhood choice, the affordable market for retirees, day laborers, and families overlooked by giant retailers. When that promise collapses, it feels like being blindsided by a friend. Customers didn't sign up for a chaos carton. They wanted a safe pantry. If SaveMart doesn't act boldly, auditing every vendor, blasting recall alerts across stores, and adding clear warnings in the aisles, it risks turning loyal shoppers into skeptics overnight. The future doesn't have to be grim, but the risk is real. Without reform, the next outbreak might not stop at salmonella. Listeria, E. coli, or other pathogens could sneak in, and public outrage can transform into lawsuits faster than a carton cracks on the kitchen floor. Imagine the legal and financial blow if a wave of seniors banded together in court. Worst yet, imagine the permanent stain on SaveMart's already fragile reputation. But there are safer eggs out there. And they're not fairy tales. Horizon Organic delivers cartons backed by a cooperative model with published safety standards. Pete and Jerry's has earned its reputation through third-party audits and traceable farms that don't hide behind vague labels. Eggland's Best goes one step further, pasteurizing and fortifying its eggs to add layers of nutritional and microbial protection. And if you want to cut through corporate fog entirely, local farmers markets offer face-to-face accountability. You can ask a farmer straight up, "When was the last salmonella test?" and get a real answer. Here's the raw truth. SaveMart has been a lifeline for communities too often ignored by national chains. But when the eggs on its shelves carry pathogens instead of protein, that lifeline frays. Shoppers are left to ask themselves whether loyalty is worth the risk. Will SaveMart step up and protect the very customers who keep its doors open? Or will breakfast at SaveMart always come with a side of doubt? You went in for affordable organic peace and walked out with a carton of chaos. When the aisle you trust hands you salmonella instead of safety, who's left to guard your breakfast table? Share your survival tips, your safe alternatives, because nobody should gamble with their health over eggs. Number 5. Raley's. Raley's has long branded itself as the neighborly choice. A grocery chain with small-town warmth, a bakery smell wafting through the aisles, and a produce section that whispers, "Local first." But in June 2025, that homely reputation cracked wide open. When August Freeze worked, Egg Company's massive recall shook the nation. Cartons stacked on Raley's shelves were among the millions withdrawn. The eggs, brown, cage-free, and labeled organic, were stamped with plant codes P6562 and CA5330, carrying sell-by dates between March 4th and June 19th. Behind those labels lurked Salmonella enteritis, an unwelcome guest that turned trust into tension for Raley's loyal base, retirees, older couples, and working-class families. The news felt personal. Customers had come to Raley's not just for groceries, but for reassurance, a hometown store that seemed safer than the faceless giants. Yet the outbreak, which sickened dozens and hospitalized over 20 people across multiple states, stripped away that comfort. Imagine the heartbreak of cracking open eggs for a grandchild's pancakes, only to learn later that the same batch was tied to dangerous contamination. That's not the cozy charm Raley sells. It's a gut punch wrapped in recycled cardboard. The FDA's traceback investigation pointed squarely at August Egg's facility. Environmental testing found the very strain of salmonella afflicting customers present on production surfaces. The implication was stark. This wasn't an isolated slip. It was a system-wide failure that spilled across retailers, dragging Raley's into the mess. For shoppers who chose Raley's to escape the risks of bargain bin chains, the betrayal was sharper. The brand's local and safe identity was suddenly recast as small and vulnerable. What happens next will decide whether Raley's strengthens or withers. Without bold changes, clear recall signage in stores, independent supplier audits, and transparent public dashboards. Customers may quietly drift away, not out of disloyalty, but out of fear. If reforms don't come, the next contamination could be worse. Listeria hiding in dairy, Campylobacter slipping into poultry. Foodborne threats evolve, and one more headline could send loyal seniors elsewhere, taking with them the very trust Raley's depends on. Shoppers, of course, still need eggs, and safer options do exist beyond the recycled trio of brands everyone hears about. Clover Sonoma, a California cooperative with a reputation for rigorous testing, offers organic pasture-raised eggs. Handsome Brook Farms supplies pasture-raised cartons with a strong focus on third-party certification. Mary's Organic Eggs, distributed regionally, are produced by hens raised on non-GMO feed with heightened salmonella monitoring. Even regional co-ops like Full Circle Farms or neighborhood CSA programs can provide eggs with transparency built right in, sometimes literally when you can visit the farm yourself. These alternatives remind us that safety and accountability aren't luxuries, they're essentials. For retirees watching every penny, the idea of paying slightly more for peace of mind may sting, but it stings less than a hospital bill. And for Raley's, the message is urgent. If they don't, demand the same level of integrity from suppliers that local farms already deliver. Their hometown hug risks becoming nothing more than a marketing slogan. Raley's challenge now is not just about food safety, it's about restoring the emotional bond with its core shoppers. Because when a carton of eggs can flip from symbol of nourishment to symbol of betrayal, the stakes become bigger than breakfast. It's no longer just about scrambled eggs, it's about scrambled trust. Number 6. Food for less. Market side Ralph's. Step into food for less on a quiet morning expecting a frugal win. A carton of eggs for pancakes, maybe protein for oatmeal. But by June 2025, that frugal win turned into a silent ambush. August Egg Company yanked 1.7 million dozen eggs off the market, over 20 million individual shells, after salmonella enteritis was confirmed. The fallout landed squarely on chains like Food for Less, Market Side, and Ralph's, with contaminated cartons stacked across California and Nevada. These weren't bargain bin rejects. They were brown, cage-free, certified organic eggs, the kind customers assumed were the safer bet. Plant codes P-6562 and CA-5330, with sell-by dates stretching from March 4th through June 19th, were later revealed as red flags. For shoppers, it was like unknowingly buying a biological time bomb disguised as a healthy choice. The human impact was sobering. 79 confirmed illnesses, 21 hospitalizations, and countless unreported cases in 7 states. Those hit hardest were the very backbone of these grocers. Seniors on fixed incomes, parents looking to stretch dollars, and immunocompromised households. The betrayal wasn't abstract. Picture a grandparent cracking eggs into cookie batter for visiting grandkids, only to discover those eggs were part of a national outbreak. Trust evaporated faster than a broken yolk hitting a hot pan. Behind the curtain, investigators traced the contamination to August Egg's California facility. Environmental swabs matched the exact salmonella strain infecting customers. That meant every participating retailer, including Food for Less, Market Side, and Ralph's, became an unknowing middleman for pathogens. For shoppers already skeptical of big box giants, this revelation stung. Food for Less sold itself as a haven for budget-conscious households. Market Side, often tucked inside Walmart stores, carried the promise of quality at scale. Ralph's, with its mix of affordability and tradition, was supposed to be the steady hand in a chaotic grocery landscape. Each identity fractured under the weight of one recall. The silence only deepened the mistrust. No bold in-aisle warnings, no flashing alerts for seniors who might not follow digital headlines. The eggs lingered in refrigerators, waiting for unsuspecting hands. That silence felt less like oversight and more like complicity. In communities where every dollar counts, that lack of transparency turned the promise of savings into a gamble. The risk isn't over. If chains like these fail to overhaul supplier audits, enforce independent safety checks, and actively alert customers, the next crisis could be worse. Listeria, E. coli, or another foodborne enemy could slip past unnoticed, leaving families scrambling for answers after it's too late. Trust, once broken, rarely returns intact. So what's left for families trying to protect both wallets and health? Alternatives do exist. Clover Sonoma, a cooperative rooted in California, offers pasture-raised eggs with rigorous testing. Handsome Brook Farm has built its reputation on independent certification and strong pathogen monitoring. Mary's Organic Eggs, distributed regionally, emphasizes non-GMO feed and proactive safety controls. And for those willing to step beyond the chain, CSA programs and local farmers markets offer transparency at its most honest. You can ask the farmer directly, "How safe are your hens?" and expect a straight answer. At its core, this scandal was about more than eggs. It was about the fragile balance between affordability and safety. Food for Less, Market Side, and Ralph's promised nourishment on a budget, but when the cost is measured in illnesses and hospital stays, those promises ring hollow. The carton you bring home should symbolize care, not betrayal. And until these chains show they can rebuild trust, every trip down the egg aisle will carry a shadow of doubt. Food safety is no luxury. Subscribe now, join our fight, and never let hidden dangers poison your family's tomorrow.
Thanks a lot for sticking with us to the very end. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any daily uploads. And now, go ahead and explore some of our top recommended videos popping up on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.